Hey everyone, Scott and Matty here.
Hi.
And welcome to Queer as Pop, the podcast where we discuss all things queer and how they intersect with pop culture, politics, and top headlines. How you doing, Matty?
I'm doing better. If you've listened to our previous podcast episodes, you probably know that I was pretty sick with, well, her name shall not be spoken here.
Ooh, are we no? Is she who will not be named? Is that what we're saying now?
Exactly. But I'm feeling much better. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing great. You know, it's a little warm in the city today, so I'm definitely keeping I'm just doing as little as humanly possible so I don't inspire more sweating.
Yeah, we don't really have that problem here because we've reached Scandinavian fall, which is basically
like our
cold.
Deep winter.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we had our good days, but I don't think I will ever have the same problem as you are having right now during this time of year. Not over here, at least.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. But man, I would live for some cold weather right now. Like that just sounds absolutely divine.
I mean, that's something that you probably long for, like being over there in San Francisco. But here, I kind of miss the warm weather, to be honest. I'm kind of bummed out that summer is finally over. So yeah, I don't feel like it. I want to be warm.
Well, you know, I feel like, you know, it's always the grass is greener on the other side, right? Like the minute I get into that cold weather, I'm sure I'm going to be saying, okay, I'm ready to go. Get me out of here. I'm out, you know, and then you come over here like, why did I come to this ungodly heat? Get me the heck out of here.
Yeah, you're just going to turn around the moment you set your foot here. I promise you. But I was thinking today we were actually going to talk a little bit about, since pop culture is a big thing for both you and me, I was thinking that we were going to talk a little bit about shows that have shaped us in any form regarding specifically LGBTQ and how these shows have influenced us. And I was thinking of asking you, is there a show that you have back in the day that you really, really feel shaped you as a human being?
That shaped me as a human being?
Yeah.
Man, that is a good question. Well, okay, how about we start with the easier angle on this for me personally. Okay, so growing up, I loved cartoons. Loved cartoons. And so for me, you know, I was growing up, you know, in the years I was watching cartoons in the 90s. And I have to say, every single time Captain Planet came on, I was living my best life because I had the most massive crush on Captain Planet. I could not wait for every single time that they combined those 5 powers and Captain Planet would come on my screen. I was just living my best little gay boy life. It was so incredible.
Oh my God, Captain Planet really?
You know, I mean, and it was like a good message, I guess, you know, like it was all about ecology and, you know, helping save the planet by reducing our waste, reusing and recycling. So, you know, it was also instilling those incredibly positive, like moments of thoughtfulness towards our planet that I think, you know, I have today.
Well, then I guess Captain Planet is that he shaped you a lot, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah. In my imaginations in many ways. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh God. I think for me it was mostly, I remember growing up, we had like Saturday cartoons with a lot of Disney shows that I absolutely loved. But I think what shaped me was probably the most, I think it's Power Rangers actually.
Oh,
I was obsessed with that
Power
show.
Rangers.
But we
Okay.
actually got it banned over here. Like it
Wait,
was banned after two
why?
seasons because it was considered too violent for kids. So we were
Wow.
not. Yeah,
I mean, it is violent. Don't get me wrong. Like, I absolutely see that. But, as we know in America, it's the more violence generally, the better. So, like,
yeah,
I think Power Rangers was just really up there. It was the gold standard of kids shows.
yeah. It was amazing, and I think Sailor Moon was a big deal for me as well.
Oh, Sailor
And
Moon, man. Okay,
yeah,
so you probably like, everyone always has a favorite sailor. Who is your
yeah.
favorite sailor?
That one is hard, but I think I have to say Sailor Pluto.
Oh, all right. What drew you to Sailor
Yeah,
Pluto?
I like her because she's older than the other ones, and she's kind of a sticking out a little bit compared to the other ones, and she has this very specific task. She's not like particularly involved in the fighting as much. I just like her as a character. She's a bit mysterious. So yeah,
Okay, okay. I can
yeah.
appreciate that. I can appreciate that.
What
Like,
about
so
you?
my favorite, I always, the minute I saw her introduced as a character, Sailor Jupiter, I
Yeah,
loved her lightning powers. I loved her sass. I loved that she was just in charge all the time. I
yeah,
lived for Sailor Jupiter. She was no nonsense, and I loved her for it.
yeah. She was pretty cool, and that show was amazing to follow as a kid. And I remember Pokemon shaping me a lot too. Like it
Yeah.
came out the same time the games were released in Europe for the first time, like Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. And it was so amazing, like playing the games, experiencing the games, and at the same time watching the show. And I remember going to the movies for. I haven't really been to the movies a lot as a kid, but that was one of my first times that I went, and I was so excited watching the first Pokemon movie as a kid. It was amazing.
Yeah, I remember that cartoon so fondly, and I think I actually saw the movie before I even started playing the video games because I went with
Oh
some
yeah.
friends to see the movie, and that was what inspired me to play Pokemon. I think I got Pokemon Blue on the Game Boy
Hmm.
Color when I was a kid, and it was like the best thing ever. It was like the best
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I was obsessed with that game, and to be fair, nothing even comes close to those games. Like they are amazing. I will never stop loving Pokemon Red and Blue. It was such an amazing moment. And playing with my big brother as well. It was just so much fun.
So
Uh,
okay, so we've definitely enjoyed our cartoons as kids. Now, if we're growing up a little bit, like was there any like movie or television show like in your teen years or your early 20s that just like stuck with you and really meant something that like was transformative?
I know that Josh Whedon is pretty much a trash bag from what people have been revealing about him over the years, but Buffy the Vampire Slayer is like that show defined my teens really, and I just loved it. And I remember every Sunday I was gonna sit down with my brother and a couple of friends, and we would watch the show. And my mother would be so furious because she thought it was way too violent for us, and
I
it
love
was
that
so
though.
fun. Yeah, it's a great show. There's like it's a cult classic. I mean, really, there's nothing like it.
I think when I was a teenager, I was obsessed with Star Trek. And so I
Oh
was
yeah,
like in that transition for like, I mean, I grew up watching The Next Generation. Didn't really like,
yeah,
I think I was a little too young while I was watching it, where it wasn't leaving as much of an impression on me as maybe it would if I had watched it a little bit later in my life. But man,
yeah,
I was full throttle in love with Star Trek Voyager. Captain Janeway was my hero. She was just a larger than life personality that I looked up to so much.
yeah. I actually watched Voyager 2 as a kid, and it's the same for me. Maybe it's a gay thing, I don't know, but like Voyager stuck with me in a way that the Next Generation never did for some reason.
I think because it felt so insular, it was a very
Yeah,
tight knit crew that were really, I mean, ostensibly they were alone, and just sort of trying to get home. And I loved the sort of desperation and sort of connection and bonding that happened because of that unique situation that the show put them in. I loved it.
yeah. But if you look at these shows that have been developed over the years, and I'm thinking about like specifically queer shows that like you got exposed to when you grew up, was there anything that like shaped or defined you in that regard, like something that
Oh
influenced you a lot? Because
my
I know we discussed
gosh.
that. I know we discussed Trick with Miss Coco Peru last week.
Yeah, man, I love Trick. But I think
Yeah,
a few other movies that I was able to see when I was younger that really stuck with me and I still love today. So I think like my top four would be Trick, The Birdcage,
yeah,
Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, and then probably also Broken Hearts Club. I think those four were sort of
yeah,
like in that like sphere of what I was able to consume and really I don't know, just I just really bonded with that content and I just loved the characters and
yeah,
I would watch those movies over and over and over again because I loved them so much.
yeah. I think for me, I wasn't really exposed to a lot of like queer shows or anything like that growing up, but I think Queer as Folk shaped me a lot, or it made me kind of realize that, wow, if I actually don't come out, this is what I'm missing. Like, I'm missing such a big chunk of my life not being honest with myself.
So was it the UK version or the US version that you sort of watched the most?
It was the US version. I think it was recorded in Canada back in the day. I don't really remember when it was launched, but it was in my late teens, I think.
Yeah, that
Maybe
sounds
two.
about right. Yeah, timing wise,
Yeah,
absolutely, that sounds about right.
yeah.
Um, and but like and then that one other TV show that again I lived for growing up that I was so glad to finally see on network television was Will and Grace. I
Oh, yeah.
loved Will and Grace. I mean, just seeing, queer characters being themselves on a national network here in the United States was so important for me because
Yeah.
I honestly had never seen in that format a show that I could watch where I was also watching with my parents, and like
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't out to them yet, but man, it felt great being able to just watch that and feel like I was part of the narrative, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Was it ever comfortable watching that show with your parents, or like, did they get it?
I had, in my mind, since I was not yet out to them, I was very thoughtfully trying to pretend to not be too invested in the show whenever they
Mhm.
were around. Just because I didn't want them to like, I don't know what was going through my mind. I was like trying to not let them catch on. Like if I was like showing too much interest, maybe they would give me like that little look. But no, like I just, if it was on, we watched it, we were able to laugh and, it was great. It meant inwardly for me something that was just so special.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to know these things about you, Scott, because this is like revealing everything for me, knowing what you grew up with, and I can tell just from the fact that you know how brilliant Sailor Moon is that you are a great person.
Well, I think that it's interesting that you bring that up because I think we are maybe then touching on really something fun that we're going to be doing really soon, which is that
Hmm.
little compatibility test that we're planning on doing.
Yes, I'm fearing for my life, so
I have some deep
I,
probing questions for you, and it's a make or break situation. So if we're not compatible, we're breaking up. I'm so sorry to tell you.
yeah, we're canceling everything. We're
It's
canceling
just
the show,
canceled. The
everything.
whole
Yeah,
thing's canceled. Bye, guys. It was nice knowing all of you. Really hope you enjoyed this very brief stint.
yeah. So just stick around for, I mean, for the end of our relationship, basically.
Dun dun dun.
All right, guys, welcome back. So, Scott, you had something waiting for me. That was exciting, I hear.
Yeah, yeah. I am always more excited to see just how compatible you and I are. So I have this lovely little compatibility quiz that I have pulled. I'm not sure you're familiar, but these top intellectual thinkers at Stanford pulled together this incredibly comprehensive 13 question list that depending
Oh.
on your answers will sort of dictate just how compatible you and I might be. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm pretty excited, but I mean, do we really need to do something like that?
I mean, I just think our future rests on this. I mean, these 13 questions might be consequentially the most important questions of your entire life.
This is do or die. Like, we're gonna end the podcast if I don't do this.
I mean, I don't want to guess, but yes, yes, it would.
All right, all right.
Well,
Well, I'm ready. I'm ready
okay.
to see
And
what you have
as a
for.
disclaimer, Stanford did not participate in this at all. These are just questions, so please, 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 anyone at Stanford, don't hold us liable. But Matty, question number one. Now, you're. Let's set the scenario here. You're with your significant other,
Yeah.
and they need to use the restroom, or you need to use the restroom. And what's your philosophy on either the bathroom door being open or closed during the dirty business?
I would very much prefer if it's closed because I feel that some things should like remain a mystery in a relationship. So I would absolutely prefer that the door is closed
Okay,
for that very
so no
purpose.
unsightly moments where you're watching someone do whatever it's they're doing in the bathroom.
I mean, I'll I'm open for suggestions, but preferably not. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thankfully, I think you and I both agree on that one because I kind of
Yeah.
don't want to see it either. I'm like, you know what? Just you do you, I'll do me. Let's keep that a mystery.
Thank you.
All right. Next question. When you're rummaging through the fridge and you were a little hungry, you see something back there that looks really tasty, but you also notice it's expired. Do you still eat it?
I will try to eat it because I hate waste. Because I hate wasting foods, I will actually try it, and I know from a scientific fact that the best before date or expiration date isn't always correct. So as long as it tastes somewhat okay and doesn't smell like shit, I will probably put it in my mouth.
I mean, I feel like that could be, you could probably apply that to a lot of other things in life, but that's great to know. That's great to know. Okay, next question. Now, this is very important for just if I'm going to live with you. How do you feel about dishes in the sink?
I hate that.
Oh, good. Thank goodness.
I'm very tidy, and there's nothing that gives me panic attacks like seeing a space full of old dishes. I can't handle it. So
you don't like that crusty, gross mold that grows and festers in that dishware as it sits there in the sink for a week?
No, that's not for me. I hope you're the same, Scott. I beg to God.
Yeah, I always never go to bed with dishes in the sink. I just can't do it because I hate waking up, going to the kitchen and seeing vestiges of last night's meal waiting for me.
Good.
All right. Now, this next one, when we're out and about, how do you feel about PDA, also known as public displays of affection?
I'm perfectly fine with that, actually. I don't find it disgusting or provocative for me. I know a lot of people have issues with that, but I just think it's bitterness, really. So for me, that's not really a problem.
Well, okay, so then let's dig down. What do you consider a public display of affection?
I mean, could be everything from holding hands to kissing. Groping might be a bit too much, but yeah.
So if they're grabbing each other's junk or putting hands down pants places that just doesn't need to be happening, that's where you're drawing the line.
Yeah, I think so. I think it can be. I mean, it's tricky if you're horny, but like, try at least to keep those things.
Try
maybe
to find
away.
somewhere a little bit more discreet if you're wanting to go a little bit further. Essentially, is what.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if that's what you're into, there are places where you can do it without any judgment. So,
are there?
Yeah.
Are these fun places existing in Sweden as well?
Oh yeah. We got tons of shit.
Well, okay, I'm gonna put a peg in that one for later because I'm gonna have some more questions on that one. Okay, but going back to the house, Now, this is sort of a combo question because I just feel like they kind of go hand in hand. Are
Mhm.
you into free stuff and do you consider yourself a hoarder?
No, I'm very basic. I'm the archetype of a very boring Swede. So I don't really hoard a lot, and I don't really look for stuff. I like my home being very Scandinavian, very simplistic, very white, not too much colors, not too much clutter. I don't like, yeah, I'm very simplistic in that sense. So, no. What about you?
I hate clutter. And then
Good.
that then extends into free stuff as well because usually if it's free, it's something I didn't really want. So it's going to go into the trash almost immediately.
Yeah, it's too good to be true. Anything
Yeah,
that's free.
can't stand it. Can't stand it. And
Yeah,
like
yeah,
clutter just gives me I feel like I get hives. I'm just like, get the stuff away from me.
yeah. I'm completely the same.
All right. Now, staying in the house, you have a pet. Could be a dog,
Yeah.
could be a cat. Is that pet a family member where they get extra special treatment? They're on all the furniture. They might even sleep in the bed. How do you feel about that?
I am perfectly fine with it. I have a cat. Her name is Artemis, and I love her to death. So I am completely fine with spoiling your animal as long as they don't hurt people that come around or if you have guests. Usually she's pretty well behaved, sometimes she's not. But yeah, I have no issues with people showing affection or devotion to their animals.
Nice. I like that. I
Yeah,
like that. I'm the same way. When you have a pet, they are truly part of the family. You do
absolutely.
everything you can to make them feel all the love and all the care possible. Sometimes to
Yeah.
an extreme where probably people are like, "Oh, you need to back off a little bit from that pet." But I'm like, you know what? You just don't get it. This is special. This is real.
Yeah, I'm not to the extent of actually putting on dresses or things on my cat. I'm just very loving, which I know sounds weird coming from me, but
I think
yeah.
Artemis is screaming for a Halloween outfit. I think you really need to get Artemis in something spooky and fun.
I might at one point. Yeah, absolutely. Do you have pets?
I don't have any pets right now, but man,
Yeah,
whenever I do have pets, they are the center of the world for sure.
yeah. Good.
All right. Now, here's something a little bit more salacious. How do you feel you're in a relationship or you're
Hmm.
dating someone?
Yeah,
You're out, you're at a bar, you're out with your friends, y'all are getting drunk, and you know, you see your significant other or you yourself maybe, or you just drunkenly kiss a friend.
yeah.
How do you feel about it when your significant other does it? Or would you ever do that yourself and forgive yourself if you did it?
If it's a friend, I mean, it kind of depends, really. Depends on what kind of agreements you have in your relationship. First of all, like I have no issues with people who want to be in an open relationship or um, have special accommodations for your relationship. But if it was a specifically monogamous relationship, I would probably have some issues with that. I wouldn't be happy about it, even if you're drunk, because I don't know. I feel being in my 30s, I should have some form of self restraint and respect that is mutual both between me and my partner and me and my friends or my partner's friends. So it kind of depends, but like um, in a serious relationship, I would probably have some issues with that. Yeah. What about you?
Um, So I'm a little bit different than you, I think. If it
Hmm.
was happening every time we were going out, I think that there is maybe some flags to be raised.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I tend to not be like a covetous or super jealous person. And
Yeah.
so I tend to feel that security of, you know what, they're making out with somebody. I'm not worried about their intentions towards me, their feelings
Yeah.
about me. And, some harmless making out when you're drunk, meh, I'm happy to accommodate that. Again, not as long as it's not happening every time.
Yeah. I can understand that for sure. Yeah.
All right. So now to a little bit of personal hygiene.
Uh-huh.
Now, let's go back to the bathroom.
Oh
I feel
God.
like this one right here can be often a rule, like an absolute deal breaker for a lot of people. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
The toilet paper rules. Okay.
Yeah.
First rule is what happens when you're the last person to use, like the roll is done.
Yeah.
Are you the one responsible for replacing it, or is it incumbent upon the person that needs to use it next to replace it?
I think it's my responsibility, to be honest.
Okay. So if your partner kind of left you with nothing there, you'd be a little upset.
Yeah, I think I would actually. I mean,
Uh, I mean, yeah,
don't
it's one of
don't
those.
don't put me in a shitty spot, pun intended. Yeah.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. And
Yeah.
then also too, with the toilet roll itself, are you an over or are you an under guy?
Uh,
Is it the paper coming on the front or the back side? Because when it's sitting there on the roll, man, that is important because there is a right answer and there is a wrong answer right here.
all
Okay.
right. I first thought that you were talking about wiping,
Oh
and I was
gosh,
like,
no.
and I was like, that's very intimate, Scott. But
Yeah, not quite that intimate,
all
but
right, all
when
right.
the paper is just on the actual roll there.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of depends because these things have like there are some that only goes backwards for some fucking reason. So yeah, that I don't really care that much about. I'm not really
Okay,
picky. As long as
all
there's
right.
something I can wipe myself with, I'm perfectly fine.
You don't get too hung up on the details then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I'm an over guy all the
yeah,
way. You know, it
yeah,
cannot be an under, it has to be an over. Otherwise, it is set incorrectly. And if it is all possible, even if I'm at a guest house, I will change it so that it's over because that's just the way it needs to be. I don't
yeah,
make the rules. It's just how it has to be.
yeah. I mean, I can understand that. Like, if I sense that you're very strict about these things. So yeah, I can accept that.
All right, so if we're staying in the bathroom,
Oh God, you're
how do you? Okay,
naughty.
I am. You know what? I just
You're
want to know
naughty,
all the
Scott.
nitty gritty details. Hey, you know what? I'm just saying, I didn't make the rules. This is the
All right.
compatibility test. This is how it's been formulated. This is really telling us everything. Now,
Yeah.
you're just getting out of the shower. Are
Hmm.
you someone that can reuse your bath towel, or do you insist on a fresh bath towel every single time?
I'm gonna be honest. I reuse the bath towel sometimes, but not like extensively. Like I do want it like changed a couple times a week. But if I'm lazy, I hate doing laundry. Then I might use it again. Probably.
Well,
Yeah.
luckily for you, I love doing laundry. But yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I definitely reuse
Yeah.
my towel. I feel like it is wasteful from a water conservation point of view to just needlessly do that much laundry just for a fresh towel every time.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
probably use it like 2 or 3 times before I will swap it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we figured that out.
Yeah.
Whew.
Hmm.
Okay.
We're
Now,
both
now
filthy.
this is talking about how you maybe spend your money. Now,
Hmm.
let's say you're going to go on a trip
Hmm.
and you have the disposable income per se. Do you pay for the upgrade, let's say like the airline seats, the hotel room, like all those small things? Are you an
Hmm.
upgrader, or are you like, nope, we're gonna do this the most economical way possible every single time?
I usually tend to invest a lot of money on the hotel and save the money. I don't really upgrade when like if I have to. It doesn't matter how I travel, really. Like it can be pretty shitty. I can take a bus for 24 hours. I don't care. It can be as comfortable as possible, but I really want to like save money specifically for the trip. Like I have no problems with like upgrading the hotel. Like anything I possibly can, I will upgrade on this trip or the place we're going to travel. But I'm not gonna spend money on utilities and luggage and things like that while on the way there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
I can appreciate that. I would often prioritize I would mirror what you're saying to a degree where I would prioritize the the stay itself versus
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the means by which we get there, as like where I'd put my money first for an upgrade. But I'm also I just love me, a nice seat on the airplane. So, I also, again, money not being a huge factor in this, I would be like, yes, upgrade me. Come on now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think we would have an excellent trip together. Just
I think
saying.
it'd be okay. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So this next question will tell us a little bit more about that vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say we're there, we're at the destination. Are you a strict itinerary person where everything has been planned out, or are you the person where you play it by ear?
I usually play it by ear. I usually spend like one day. There, I will check up on things that I do want to go to and that I want to like spend my time around. And so I have a set list of what I want to do, but it doesn't have to be done accordingly. So I have no problem with just playing by ear, really. But
Okay.
I have to like do the things that I have planned out in the sense that I want to experience certain things. But it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be structured, really.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, when I go on vacation, like I typically am the person where most of the time I will want to play it by ear, but there's probably going to be
Hmm.
3 or 4 things where I know it's going to be either popular or I want to make sure it's like the best version of that thing that we're going to do as possible. So that's when
Hmm.
I do go into planning mode well in advance, and I'll like structure it out. So like it will be at this time on this day, we are doing exactly this because this is the best way to do X, Y, and Z things.
Hmm.
But outside of that time, I couldn't care less what we're doing, how we do it, all of the small details, like just wing it and just have a great time.
Yeah. I love that. I love that about you, Scott.
Oh, if you could see
Yeah.
me, I am blushing. All
Oh,
right. Now let's just say let's stay on vacation. Like, let's just
yeah.
pretend that we're still on vacation right now with this next question. Would you and I be sitting on the same side of the booth when we're eating a meal, or do we sit across from each other?
Oh, that one is tricky. I know it's a custom in France to sit next to your partner when you are out in a restaurant or eating, but I tend to prefer sitting across each other. To be fair, I wanna be able to look at you straight.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to agree. I
Hmm.
tend to like to think that I'm going to be facing the person that I'm going to be eating a meal with because it just makes it easier to have conversation. I know that
Oh
like when
yeah.
you're sitting next to each other, you can have like fun little PDA moments or you can do more people watching. But man, when I'm sitting down to a meal with someone, like I want to be able to engage with them, and that makes it just easier if I'm sitting across from them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so happy this isn't a bathroom question again.
I mean, don't. I mean, you can be happy right now, but this last question, because we're on the last
Yeah,
question, it's
yeah.
going to be a doozy. And again, this is going to tell me a lot about you and our compatibility. Are you ready for it?
I am so ready.
Okay. So this last question is, how often do you like to have sex during the week?
I would say probably. I mean, I don't mind having sex every day.
You
Like,
don't mind it, okay. But
yeah.
what's your ideal amount? Like, what's your ideal number? Like, is it twice a day? Is it, once every other day? Like, what's your personal sexual rhythm, if I may even say that?
For a healthy relationship, for me, that's probably maybe 4 to 5 times a week.
Okay.
It kind
Okay.
of depends on so many things surrounding your relationship and work and things like that. But probably 4 to 5 times a week is what I would consider um, a healthy sexual experience with your partner. Maybe that's weird. I don't know. Maybe it's too much. I don't know. Or too little. But yeah. What about you?
Well, I don't know. Maybe there's not. I don't think there's necessarily for each individual couple, being honest, a right or wrong number. But I
Yeah.
would say, if if we're getting a little dirty, 3 to 4 times a week, I'm a happy person. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
happy person. If it happens more, that's great. Not going to say no to it. If it happens less, I also understand that it's not indicative of the health of the relationship per se,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
as you said, like, things come up. You get busy. Maybe when he's not feeling well that week. I don't want to be getting all up in that
Yeah.
business anyways. So, I can appreciate the idea that if you settle into 3 to 4 times a week for a little something something on the side, that's great. I think that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. I think it's important when you have a relationship not to read into too much on how often you have sex and just be like, oh, we only fucked once last week. That means that this relationship's going to hell. Like, not try to take it so personal and just like realize that life always comes into the picture and the rhythm changes over time. So I think, yeah, as long as you have sex at all, like, I'm fine, really.
Nice. All right. All right. Well, okay. So, how did you, before I give you the results of the test, how did you feel overall about these questions? You feel like it really got to the depths of what a normal relationship often has to deal with?
Yeah, I think so. The
Okay.
bathroom, the
Okay.
bathroom is certainly a big part of a relationship. I'm not gonna lie. That does come into the picture a lot. But yeah, it gave me. You painted me a very nice picture of who you are as well, and I like that we are not that different in these regards. So it brings me hope for
Okay.
the future that we might actually stand each other.
I would like to think so. Okay. Now, are you ready for the official results of this very scientific, completely not fabricated compatibility test? Are you ready?
I'm totally ready.
And the results are, who flippin' cares? I already think the world of you, Matty. You are absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad that you just gave me the leash to actually run with this silly segment where I got to learn a lot more about you. Yeah, this was absolutely super fun. I really really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I dare say I love you too, Scott. And I didn't really know what to expect. So this was a bit of a surprise for me, but I truly enjoyed it.
Thank
So,
you. I'm glad.
so
Like, again,
thank
thank you for
you.
being a good sport about it. This was, like, super fun.
Yeah, no problem. So, you guys, you got to know a lot more about us. So now it's our time to learn a little bit about you. So stick around for some frequently asked questions. All right, guys, welcome back. Now, Scott, what have people sent us?
Well, I always get so excited when we get questions from our listeners. So everyone that sent in questions so far, thank you so much. We have 3 questions today, and the first question we actually have is, what piece of pop culture do you quote the most? And this is coming from Duncan.
All right, Duncan. I think that the one that I use the most is probably from Terminator. And I used to say this a lot at work, just mocking my colleagues when I was going to go to the bathroom. And I would just put on a German accent and be like, I'll be back. And
I love that. So you watched Terminator a lot when you were growing up?
oh, yeah, I did. I love those movies.
Oh, they're
Um,
so good, right? They're
yeah.
so good.
What
So I
about
think
you?
I think for me, yeah. So I stream a lot on Twitch, and I think I get the easiest comparison to this character, and it makes sense when they started like playing back clips to me. But I
Yeah.
think I quote most often Ned Flanders from The Simpsons, because I don't curse terribly often. But so like my modified cursing is often like, gosh diddly darn it, or oakley dokley, like just all of these silly phrases that Ned Flanders says that I just clearly have been inspired and pull from all the time. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's just so baked into my brain.
but I feel that it kind of makes you very wholesome. I kind of like it, even though I know,
Aw.
even though I'm sure you have a dark side, but I
I
appreciate the
mean,
wholesomeness of
it
it.
is dark, 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 dark there. But you know what? All the bright bits are super pretty and glittery, so it's really quite nice.
All right. Well, let's go on to the next question. And this one is from Shay. With the death of RBG, do you believe there would be a person who would be able to carry on her legacy? Now, this is a question that doesn't really, I mean, we do talk about American politics in Europe a lot, but this doesn't really apply to. I know who she is and I know what she's accomplished and what kind
Yeah.
of a figure she was. But this is in general nothing that concerns anyone outside in the US. So I was hoping she would be replaced by someone who was progressive, and I'm pretty sure she's not. And I kind of find it disgraceful. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Scott?
Yeah, when I heard the news that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was had passed, it was devastating.
Yeah,
I was actually one of those few moments I was getting close to tears because both for her legacy and the work that she did for so many people who are people of color, people in the LGBTQIA plus spectrum, people who are just women. I mean,
yeah,
the amount of legislation that we have and rights and protections that we have in the United States is in a lot of ways tied to a lot of the work that Ruth Bader Ginsburg did. And so the idea of someone carrying on her legacy would be wonderful
yeah,
because I think that the Supreme Court has been a bastion of protecting protected class citizens when majority legislation would oftentimes strip us of our rights. And so I am really sad to see that with what's currently happening on our federal level for the presidents and the Senate looking to try and get a confirmation of a very conservative judge moving through before the election, it's going to be really sad because I think the court is going to be moving in a very conservative direction that will make
yeah,
it that much harder for again minorities, people who are LGBTQIA plus, or just even just women's rights to be recognized and upheld. I mean, I am really and truly fearful of things like Roe v. Wade, which is protecting a woman's right to choose whether she wants to have an abortion, is in serious jeopardy now, and that makes me really, really upset. But it's also something where I take heart in the fact that that just means that we need to fight harder for how we then better elect officials, both in the legislative and the executive branches of the United States government, that
hmm,
can really truly create legislation that doesn't require an interpretation from a court. You know, we just get those protections written into law before it has to be reviewed by judges.
yeah, yeah. Well, progress is usually one step forward, two step back, two steps back. So
Yeah, so I have to ask though for you. I mean, I fully appreciate that. My understanding of Swedish politics and how the governmental system works is a little different. But do you have anything similar to the Supreme Court? Is there a judicial branch that like is interpreting law and helping decide it, or is that really not something you have?
well, there is something similar, but they don't usually have any uh, sort of like exposure in media, or we don't really talk about the that we don't really have the same kind of system where you have like people that you actually idolize and look up to in that sense. So it's not really the same. No, I wouldn't say. I think that's pretty
Interesting.
unique for the US.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, so I mean, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on this and talk about it more. But let's go ahead and move on to our last question.
yeah.
Uh, so I gotta ask, and this one's coming from Percy. Uh, Percy asks, could you ever see yourself dating a guy or a girl that has a child already?
I know there would be sacrifices made, but I would actually say that yes, I don't think I would have a problem with that in the long run. I don't think that would, if I really cared about someone, that would not be a problem or a factor. I would just have to accept the fact that this is the child is part of this individual's life, and I want to share this with this person. Then I'm gonna have to accept it. So yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, no, I actually feel pretty much the same. If I was dating someone and he had a child already, I would have zero challenges imagining, creating a life with that person still. Just because if I like that person, the fact that they have a child already is in no means sort of a deal breaker. They have,
Yeah.
we all have experiences and pieces of our life that existed until we met that person. And, this person just happened to have started a family already. And so if I even get to be a small part of that, that's a wonderful experience then in my mind.
Yeah. Good. I think that's a good perception to have in general. I can understand people who do not want to have a child involved in the relationship. I can totally understand it, but for me, I don't necessarily see a problem with it. And going forward with that, I was thinking of, since we were talking about the jury system in the US compared to Sweden, I was thinking that we would introduce a funny segment for you, Scott.
Oh, I'm both optimistic and a little nervous.
Yeah. So what I was thinking of exposing you to is learning a little bit of Swedish, since I am from Sweden.
Oh gosh.
So we're gonna have
Okay.
You ready?
You know what? My body is ready.
All right. So we're basically gonna have the Swedish word of the day, and I'm gonna pronounce it for you, and you're gonna just have to follow up, and I'll explain to you what that means.
Okay. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Okay. Come on, you can do this.
Lay it on me. All right, lay it on me.
Regnbåge.
Regnbåge.
I want to die.
Was it really bad?
No. It was really funny. It was It was almost correct, but regnbåge means, and this is probably accurate to our theme in general, it means rainbow.
Rainbow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, to me, it sounded like some sort of bondage position, but I mean, I'm really glad that it's something equally queer by just being a fun little rainbow. I love that.
I'm sure there's something equivalent. Like, I'm sure there is a position or equipment that is called just that. Yeah, I'm sure. It's, what did you say? Rule 34, you can sexualize anything.
Yeah, anything can be turned into some sort of sexual innuendo, and I love that. It makes my day just a little bit more fun.
And with that, guys, we are wrapping up today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to follow us and see what we're up to, you can find us on Queer as Pop on Twitter. If you guys want to follow me, you can find me at Novakaze. Killcannon is the nickname for Scott on Twitch, if you ever want to see his gameplay and his lovely community that he has established. And you can also find him at the Killcannon on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.